Wow. Okay, it worked. Welcome, everybody. Let's see. Is anybody here? Yeah, a couple of people here. Hey, Marcy. Hey, Dog Mother. I wanted to just get on this morning and just catch up on the news. From what I've seen of the news of the day, everyone is nuts now, or at least everybody on the other side. I consider myself a centrist, but there is another side here. The right wing of this country has gone completely nuts, and we keep having children killed, and we keep getting lied to about teachers propping open doors, and the facts keep getting hidden from us, and there's one cover-up after another, and then when the right investigates Hillary Clinton's lawyer, they get all upset when a jury unanimously says no, he's not guilty. Not just one juror who donated to the Clinton campaign. Oh, you can't have a jury. They're very upset now that there were Hillary supporters on the jury. Yeah, that's what you're going to get sometimes. Half the people on the jury are going to have supported Clinton. Half the people on the jury are going to have supported Trump. Thereabouts. Now, we talked a little bit about this on, was it Memorial Day or the day before, whatever it was when I last broadcast, or broadcasted, as Kayleigh McEnany would say. And every time I said, this appears to have happened, and I stipulated, that's what we think we know so far, but the facts have not come out. Now it turns out that the teacher, according to what we know right now, this could change, did not prop the door open. And there is a source that says there's actual video evidence that shows that the teacher removed the rock with which she propped the door open. It'll probably turn out to be a brick. I mean, why? It's now more than a week. Why has the fog of war not lifted from that situation? It's ridiculous, and it's sickening. Hi, Deidre. Hi, at Random. Have a good walk with Rusty there. Let's just get into it and see what Fox and freaks are outraged by this morning.
The record high in gas prices this morning, $4.67 today.
Yeah, that's about double of what it was when Trump left office. Although he keeps claiming it was under $2. No, the actual price when Trump left office was $238. So it's almost exactly double. Which 17, 18 months later is bad, but okay. It's still bad. I have one gas vehicle now that I shipped down from Seattle so that I can have a backup car here. And I've now used about 3/4 of its tank, and I'm dreading going to have to fill it up again. But, you know, okay. $4.67, by the way, is really cheap for those of us who live in the Los Angeles area. Like, if there was a $4.67 station near me, I'd drive an extra 10 miles to get there. Screw the planet. That's, yeah, it's $6 something at my station right over here. I'm sure it's about $6 at Costco, whatever it is.
It's the highest yet recorded. That is up a nickel from yesterday, $4.62 and a year.
And Exxon has doubled its profits since the first quarter of last year. Doubled its profit. Is there really a reason for it to double its profit? Yes, that's what Exxon is supposed to do. Shell has almost tripled its profits from last year.
A year ago, gas prices sat at $3.04.
Well, you know what? Just thank your lucky stars you don't live in Los Angeles, because at a gas station, this is the actual image of the gas at a Chevron just off Alameda in downtown Los Angeles. Now,
there are gas stations in every neighborhood that you're like, don't go. It's ridiculously expensive. This is for people who have all the money in the world. And yes, there are those gas stations out there. Now, Trump was right when he said gas was going to hit $6, $7, maybe $8, and it's going to keep going up. He was right. Trump was right. He didn't predict the war in Ukraine, but these gas prices are way higher than they should be. The price of oil hasn't gone up this much. The gas companies are making and raking in profits.
It's actually a good,
Hi, Allison.
good value here, even though regular is $8.05.
Hey, Steph.
But look at that. Premium is just $8.09. So you hardly ever see a 4-cent
Yeah, it's a good deal.
spread. But nonetheless,
It's all wacky. It's all of it. At some point, you would think somebody would be in charge and say, hey, Exxon, the country is suffering right now. Let's cool it just a little bit, can we? But no, that's not how we work because we're not socialist. We could use a little socialism right now when it comes to oil prices, quite frankly.
the headline is gas is $8.
Gas is $5.32 in Pahoa. By the way, that's on Hawaii. That's far, far away from everything. And it's cheaper than it is in Los Angeles.
In LA.
Now, the cool thing about Pahoa is your tank lasts a year and a half. Because there's nowhere to go.
People are saying it's price gouging, but Chevron came out and said there are a number of unique circumstances in California because of the way they got to brew it up and stuff like that. But also, every one of that particular station, independently owned, they can set their own price.
Man, you look at that diesel fuel number, $9.19. A lot of our...
That's insane. Diesel is a byproduct of the production of gasoline. Diesel used to be way cheaper than gasoline. That's why the trucking industry got hooked on the diesel. Plus, there's better things about diesel in terms of... Now, a lot of nitrous oxide put out by diesel. It's a dirtier fuel when it comes to that aspect. Biodiesel would be a wonderful solution. And you're speaking to a guy that used to make his own biodiesel from French fry grease and Chinese food grease.
Produce comes out of California on trucks that require...
I used to run, was it six or eight vehicles when I had a limo company that ran on biodiesel. Way cleaner. And your car smells like teriyaki.
Require diesel fuel. So if you're thinking about your food prices going up, you can thank gas prices as the bottom underlying factor for that problem.
$8.
Yeah, the price of everything.
Dollars a gallon. That's $2 over the average, by the way, in California at roughly just over $6 a gallon.
Yeah, okay, so these are outliers. They just explained. Okay.
I can't imagine. I mean, if it's $8 a gallon,
I would love to be. I'm just like, $8, I don't care. Let's get gas. I would love to be in that situation. I would love all the money in the world. And if you would like to send it to me, please become a patron. Send me money on Cash App. Send me gas money on PayPal. It's all right there.
I'm going to start getting interested in Shaquille O'Neal's mathematics when it comes to filling up a gas tank. Did you guys ever see that on TNT?
Yeah, like you fill up a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And then
a little bit at
more,
a time.
And
right.
a little bit more.
Half a tank.
And somehow that becomes cheaper.
Less expensive,
Instead of filling up the whole tank. I mean, honestly, Shaq's math and Shaq's logic is as good as anything coming from the federal government.
Yeah. It is not.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen.
Shaq, by the way, has all the money in the world. Just fill your tank, Shaq.
Had this to say about...
Why is Shaq not driving an electric car, is my question.
The entire economy and our rising prices, and she wants a little bit of a redo. Listen.
I think I was wrong then about the path that inflation would take. As I mentioned, there have been unanticipated and large shocks to the economy that have boosted energy and food prices and supply bottlenecks that have affected our economy badly that I at the time didn't fully understand, but we recognize that now.
That makes me feel so much better.
Well, yeah, that somebody who admits, yeah, there were forces that we didn't comprehend at the time, that we didn't know were coming down the pike, and so we were wrong about that. That happens all the time. Every economist on the planet was wrong about the housing bubble in 2008. All of them. There's occasional outliers that were paying $8 a gallon for gas. Everyone's like, why are you doing that? Because the housing market is going to crash. Okay.
She is the former head of the Federal Reserve, now our Treasury Secretary. Her signature is on your dollar bill, the new ones. And she said, I blew it, but I recognize it now. The problem is now it's too late because gas is $8. And you know what?
Why can't Janet Yellen see the future? Come on.
She was in the Oval Room with the president and
the Oval Room,
the current Fed head, Jerome Powell, yesterday.
Yeah.
And essentially, the president said, you know what? We're going to let the Fed do whatever they want. Inflation, which we all hate.
Right, the Fed's independent. You're supposed to do that. That's how it's supposed to work. You can't have the Oval Room manipulating the Fed.
It's going to be Jerome Powell's problem. He's the man on the left thinking, man, did I get a raw deal here? Because that's the one thing that I have a limited number of arrows in my quiver. And so what they're going to do, according to the minutes of the last Fed meeting, May 3rd and 4th, is apparently they're going to raise interest rates, your interest rates, 0.5% over the next 2
Everyone's interest rates, not mine particularly, but thank you for thinking of me.
Meetings. So in other words,
yeah, what would have changed? Probably they would have hiked interest rates sooner, tried to slow down the economy, because the economy's cooking. New jobs report number came out today. Oh, this is not the job report, but there are a record number of jobs still open. You want a job? Go get a job. You want to pay for gas? Go get a better paying job. They're out there. 11 million of them. Also, holding back the economy from doing as well as it could.
It's going to go up at least 1% more.
No, Stephanie's in a good position. The only way raising interest rates affects me is I will finally get a little money from my savings account. Yes, that's actually a very good thing.
Before they're done. And they're probably not going to be done until they raise.
The economy is really, really simple. It's supply and demand. It's always supply and demand. And right now we're in a wacky, wacky time because COVID affected the supply chain. So the demand is out there. My dad would love a new car, one with all-wheel drive, because there's more and more snow where he lives in northern Washington. Every year there's more days that he gets stuck because he's got a tiny little SUV, but it's not all-wheel drive. So they just kind of stay home, which is okay because they should be quarantining. But he's looking at new cars and say, hey, can you check the dealer stock down there? And I'm like, well, the ones that are worth it. The other thing is there's the new technology, etc. But you want one of the newer cars if you're going to get one of the cars. You want it with the better technology. He's getting older. He's got some glaucoma going on. It makes it a lot easier to have assisted steering, stuff like that. But that's another. There are cars available. You want like a Santa Fe that runs on. You want a gas-powered SUV? You can get one right now. Enjoy. America loves their SUVs.
At least 2%.
Well, and you listen to the experts.
You want a vehicle? You want a nice battery-operated vehicle? Okay, prepare to pay an extra $10,000 because that's what the dealers are doing. They're all marketing it. Sorry, I should say the automobile stealers. The stealerships are marking up a lot of the vehicles, and you can find one for the real price. Enjoy.
Like Janet Yellen, who are supposed to be the...
I'll be buying a car very soon, by the way. Not looking forward to it.
Ones who know what's going on, the people who are supposed to be in charge. They say that we...
And if things work out, I'll have a 30-day window in order to do it. So it's not like I can just wait. And then my dad can wait. So I've told him. I've looked around, for stuff he was interested in. And, yeah, he should wait.
Didn't see this coming.
The one vehicle that I thought, well, this is the perfect car for him, it doesn't come in all-wheel drive. Even though it's supposed to be an SUV, it's the Chevy Bolt with a B for billion. It doesn't come in an all-wheel drive configuration, which is really dumb considering that it's an SUV. But it does have Cadillac's driver assistance program, which is hands-free on the highway. Actual hands-free. There's a lot of driver's assistance programs where you got to keep kind of doing everything. It watches your eyes, and you've got to do the shoulder checks, and you get... No. If you're going to be autonomous, be autonomous. They're not.
Of course they saw it coming.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody, including Obama economists, warned them that the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan would be inflationary. They've decided to play politics, wanted...
That wasn't really the case. It boosted the economy. The economy keeps humming along. There's just no supply. Or not enough supply, I should say. It's supply and demand.
President Biden to be a transformational president.
It's not a bad thing for people to have money to pay their bills, for the basic necessities. That's not bad.
And pushed it through anyway. And now any basic American can understand that when you flood the economy with money, as Jerome Powell has admitted and said a year ago, you're going to see inflation. And then for the Treasury Secretary to throw up her hands and say, well, I regret it.
No, we know that's not how it works because of the original American Rescue Plan back in 2009. It did not cause a surge in inflation. And that was $1 trillion being pumped into the $1 trillion 2009 dollars being pumped into the economy, no inflation. It's not how we know that for a fact. But in 2009 we had all kinds of supply. It wasn't an issue. Now we have supply chain problems. And of course, when Trump was in office, nobody had ever heard of the term supply chain. It wasn't a thing. It's just made up. Biden made it up. I didn't make it up.
There's a lot of Americans all over the country, every single American actually, who is suffering as a result of these policies and decision making.
Flood the economy with money on the heels of constricting demand.
Right.
So shut
There you go.
down the economy, break the supply chain, constrict demand, or
No. He's got it backwards, but he's trying. He's really trying. He might be about to correct himself here. Let's go back.
I regret it. There's a lot of Americans all over the country, every single American actually, who is suffering as a result of these policies and decision making.
Flood the economy with money on the heels of constricting demand.
Okay, opposite, but yes, you're thinking. You're almost thinking here. I don't know if someone's telling it in his ear, but let's see if he corrects himself.
Right.
So shut down the economy, break the supply chain, constrict demand, or constrict supply.
There
and then
you go.
flood money at the demand side.
That's what they're going to do.
Everything is competing for products. Every dollar is competing for products. There's more dollars out there. You're in an inflationary spiral. Joe Biden has a plan. Don't worry. They're on it. And here it is.
Supply, increased supply.
My plan is to address inflation. Starts with a simple proposition. Respect the Fed. Respect the Fed's independence, which I have done and will continue to do.
You know,
Good.
what's extraordinary about what the White House is doing is over the last 70 years, at times of high inflation, after World War II, the 60s and the 70s, the White House didn't say, hey, Fed, you do whatever you want. No, the White House was saying, hey, Fed, do not raise taxes. We will have price.
Fed doesn't raise taxes, but okay, still. I mean, Reagan could have told the Fed not to raise taxes. That does sound like something Reagan would do.
Controls, and we will jack up taxes, and we will do it legislatively. You stay back. But instead, you know what? Joe Biden needs a boogeyman, because every time something goes wrong, he's got to blame Donald Trump. He's got to blame COVID. He's got to blame Putin. And now he's going to be able to blame Jerome Powell. You know, the Fed they were late. And we know they were late. And now we've got Janet Yellen saying, yeah.
I don't think it would have helped. I really don't think it would have helped. It didn't help in the 1970s. It apparently didn't help now. Late or not, constricting people taking out loans, and more importantly, businesses taking out loans, doesn't really cause the inflation. It's the lack of supply because of COVID it's constricting demand. That's what it is. That's what Will said. I think that's Will.
And I blew it. Well, it doesn't really help us, because there's a new study that came out that said, you know, the amount of money that you put aside for your retirement, because everything costs so much more, you're putting in less. People who are 18 to 34 years old are contributing less because stuff costs so much more. You know, the S&P is down 12% so far this year. Gas is $8 in Los Angeles. And if you were thinking...
No, it's not. It's really, really not. You just explained that it was actually $6 in Los Angeles, and it is. I wonder if I can see the station from the Stable Boy Studios. I'll check. Hold on. Hold on. I can't. There's a bunch of stupid view blockers in the way, or as you people call them, trees.
About retiring.
It's about, I don't know, 6. Again, I haven't looked at the price of gas in a long time. In California, in Los Angeles, we have hydrogen cars. There's no cost to us if you own one. And you're part of the program. Anyway.
With your savings at the lowest point it's been in a while,
yeah.
25% of Americans are thinking, you know what, I'm going to have to work more because stuff costs so much more.
Well,
Thanks,
yeah,
Janet
you
Yellen.
just think about the amount of money that people have in their retirement accounts. It's worth 10% less just as a result of
thanks, tariffs on China. Thanks, COVID.
Inflation. And then you add on top of it the stock market and their 401.
By the way, Janet Yellen is increasing people's savings. So thanks, Janet Yellen, for that. Thanks, Jerome Powell, for increasing the interest rate, which gets people more money in their savings account. Thanks.
Ks, which have been going down.
201Ks now.
201Ks, exactly. They've been cut in half. It's horrible, awful for the economy. And inflation.
Leave your money in there. There's the quote from Warren Buffett, and I'm not sure he actually said this, but it's a good quote nonetheless. The stock market is just a means of transferring wealth from people with no patience to people with patience.
It's one of those things, Will, that
I'm paraphrasing.
No, it's so dangerous, which is why you never want to let it out of the box.
Right.
And it's out of the box now, and it's very difficult to put it back in.
Because, as Steve points out, there's only so many quivers, and they all hurt. The one you turn to is raise inflation, raise interest.
Arrows. You don't actually shoot quivers at people.
Rates. And you raise interest rates, man, that's going to be painful for Americans.
You know, it was in the last quarter of 2021, so about, what would that?
Will's really trying. I get it. I feel for the guy. He's not hitting the targets with his quivers.
About 6 or 7 months ago, the Federal Reserve of San Francisco did a survey, and they looked at all the money that got pumped into the economy, which, Katie, you were talking about.
Good for people. People had money. That's nice. God forbid Americans have spending cash.
And Will, you were talking about it as well.
Yeah.
And they figured,
rent relief.
Figured out that of the inflation rate, which was in the 6s back then, 3% of the inflation was from this vast government spending.
Right.
So in other words,
to take us out of the COVID hole that we were in. Remember when the GDP fell 32%? Remember that? 32. 1/3 of the American economy gone.
You know what? It's on us, the federal government is saying, but that's okay because they got a plan. They want you to pay $8, $9, $10 a gallon. So
no. Why would that be, Steve?
You will drive less to save the planet.
That's exactly that.
No, that's not how it works. But okay.
That Federal Reserve Bank, I believe, attributed those.
That is not the plan. That is, in fact, not the plan.
Percentage points of inflation to the $1.9 trillion stimulus package passed by the Biden administration. So, look, there are a lot of contributing factors, including shutting down the supply chain. But according to that one analysis, right there, that spending package led to a big chunk of what we're...
According to one analysis. By the way, they've probably got it wrong. I haven't read it.
Experiencing right now.
And you know what Joe Biden did yesterday? He was pushing Build Back Better. He still wants to...
More.
He wants to pump $1 trillion or $2 more dollars into the economy. You know what?
Yeah, for people, for Americans, so they have money. What is so bad about Americans having money? I like having money. Anyway, I guess we're done talking about school shootings, because,
Last year, he said that inflation was transitory, and he's right, because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Maybe he's trying to get it up in the 10s.
Well, don't forget that Build Back Better was originally $6 trillion, and Democrats like Joe Manchin saved Joe Biden from himself, because things would be far worse if that bill would have passed.
Lots to talk about. Sorry about the gas.
I just did a quick, you and me, brother. Every family gathering of the year. I'm also sorry about the gas. I can't find that study that he's talking about. So if anybody knows that San Francisco Fed study that he's talking about with 3% of inflation.
Folks. All right, in the meantime, 6:11 here in the East Coast. Coming up, West Wing woes. President Biden reportedly...
Okay. Why are we still not talking about the fact that the cops were lying about the shooting? Why are we still not talking about the shooting? Why are we not talking about the fact that the sheriff of the school district or the sheriff of the town or the sheriff of I don't know what the hell is going on down in Uvalde won't cooperate with authorities? Why are we not talking about this? Oh no, well, we got it. Oh, there's palace intrigue. Biden might fire someone or someone might quit. That's what we need. There's the news.
Fuming at his staff members for...
Oh, Biden's so angry. Breaking.
Constantly walking back things when they have to clean it up. Well, another cleanup campaign is now underway in the White House. We're going to talk about that coming up.
Plus, jurors find ex-Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman not guilty.
Unanimously found him not guilty. We'll talk about that case in a second because it's just silly. I actually went back and read some about it. It's
of lying to the FBI. Yeah. Where Durham could be taking his investigation coming up.
Yeah, this is the you gotcha. We finally got Hillary after 40 years of investigation and not a single charge. This is it. This proves it. Not guilty. Not a single guilty vote of all the jurors. Not a single one. Not guilty. We'll talk about that case in a second here. Let's see. But first, we got to find out about the Biden woes. So we are 11 minutes and 44 seconds into the broadcast, and not a single mention of gun safety. Not one. Not one. Are we going down there now? Let's go down there. Okay. Come back. Come back. I see it. It's coming, kids. Give me a second. Here we go.
Rodriguez and Amory Joe Garza were laid to rest.
Todd Pyro is here with more this morning. Todd.
As the first funerals are held for the 21 victims, including that 10-year-old Mayte Rodriguez and Emery Joe Garza, the little girl being hailed a hero for trying to call for help. Her friend and classmate describes the moment she watched her friends and teacher die.
My friend Amory, she started trying to call the police with her friend's phone, and when they did that, he started saying, you'll die. And my teachers, they were screaming, saying no. Well, Ms. Garcia was. And he shot my friends and my teachers. And then after that, he said good night, and he started shooting everybody.
That has to be the most heartbreaking soundbite you're ever going to hear. The grieving community is still searching for answers, as a teacher who propped open a door says she did shut it before the gunman entered. According to her lawyer, she remembers pulling the door closed.
Oh, as a teacher who propped open the door claims she did. But maybe he means she propped open to check outside and then ran back inside and did shut it. Maybe he's saying that. Maybe he's... Again, why can't we get this right? It's been a week. Oh, God.
While telling 911 that he was shooting, she thought the door would lock because that door is always supposed to be locked.
Yeah, it should. It should automatically lock.
And for the first time, hero off-duty CBP agent Jacob Alvarado describing how he was getting a haircut when his wife, a teacher at that school, texted that an active shooter was on campus.
As I went in, I just saw a whole bunch of kids running off campus, jumping through the windows, cops breaking windows, and just a complete chaos pretty much.
Victim's family is still struggling to understand why.
I want to know more about that guy.
It took school district police 45 minutes from the time the shooting started to breach that classroom. And according to Texas DPS, the district police chief, Pete Arredondo, has stopped cooperating. Quote, the Uvalde Police Department.
District Police Chief.
And Uvalde CISD police have been cooperating with investigators.
So that's the school district. Again, this school district had been hardened. This school district had its own police force. And now the head of that police force is just not talking to anybody anymore.
The chief provided an initial interview but has not responded to a follow-up interview with the Texas Rangers that was made 2 days ago. Regardless, Arredondo was...
She's not showing up. She's not answering their phone calls. If only the Texas Rangers had some means of tracking this individual.
Sworn into his new spot on the city council after being elected earlier this month, but Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin canceling his inauguration ceremony. Back to you.
Yeah, apparently they swore the guy in, but they didn't have the ceremony because then people would know where he would be, and he didn't want to be found. This is a police officer.
Todd, thank you very much.
Again, and this story could change as well. We might not even know right now. I don't know. The hell is going down in Texas?
A state lawmaker down in Texas said that apparently local law enforcement never gave the word to go in to, the go signal to storm the place. And
well, they were inside.
Instead, the Border Patrol showed up and they said, we're going in.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the end.
There's too much waiting around happening.
While
kids were dying.
So, obviously, as is too often the case, whenever these tragedies take place, we turn to national debate. We turn to the national debate over guns. I don't know if you noticed this, but in Canada, Justin Trudeau has proposed restricting the sale of all handguns in that country. That's led to questions, a freeze on the sale of handguns in that country, and that has led to questions about whether or not Joe Biden would want to do the same here in America. He's given some, I think I'm being kind to say, confusing statements on his position when it comes to handguns. First of all, this is Joe Biden yesterday. We'll make sense on the back end.
Will you?
He said a .22 caliber bullet will lodge in the lung, and we can probably get it out, may be able to get it and save the life. A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body. So the idea of these high caliber weapons is there's simply no rational basis for it in terms of about self-protection, hunting.
Well, no, the gun guys, they want takedown power. They want something that blows the lungs out. They don't want to have to fire multiple rounds. I mean, they will, but the higher the power of the gun, the better. But a 9mm is not that big.
You couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. You couldn't go out and purchase a lot of weaponry.
Okay,
that's true. You get a musket.
There's many things to address there.
And a bayonet. You could have a bayonet. You have a little spear on the end of your musket.
Not to dismiss it, but no, perhaps.
Rifle.
When the Constitution was written, the internet didn't exist. Does that mean the First Amendment ceases to be applicable to modern day society? But
according to the current Supreme Court, yes.
More specifically, I don't know what his medical diagnosis there on the effect of different calibers of weapons. It doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know what he's trying to address particularly, but the 9mm bullet is in most common usage when it comes to handguns, Katie.
Yeah.
So is he addressing his position going forward on handguns?
Yeah, when I worked at Big Five, they actually they had a company make a rifle. They had to go and find a rifle that would shoot 9mm bullets so that they could sell the 9mm ammunition in Los Angeles. This is the chain, the Big Five Sporting Goods chain, which is across the western United States. In order to sell the 9mm bullets, which are extremely popular, it's a handgun round. It's for handguns. But in order to sell those in Los Angeles, they had to show that the 9mm was also for rifles. So they sold this cheap-ass 9mm rifle that nobody ever bought just so they could sell the ammo.
Yeah, well, first I should say, since we are talking about gun control, I do in my personal capacity do some work for Volcourts and Firearms on my social media pages. However, when it comes to policy positions and the president is trying to...
Wait, what? I don't know what she's saying. She works for a gun? Volcor? I don't know what that is.
Make an argument that there is some negotiations here with Capitol Hill.
I like that she's using some kind of disclaimer. I just have no idea what it is.
You're going to be talking about very specific things when it comes to the caliber of a firearm, the kind of firearm, a handgun, a sporting rifle. You better know what you're talking about, right? Because it's about legislation. If he wants to negotiate in good faith, him starting at the position of 9mm handguns, which is the most popular round of handgun in this country and used for self-defense, people kind of take a step back and wonder, look, I'm all about enforcing schools. I'm all about trying to find some place where we can have some compromise in terms of keeping kids safe in schools. But this idea that the president is going straight for this issue, especially right on the heels of Justin Trudeau in Canada coming out with his policy position and his statement on handguns, it really just raises questions for law-abiding citizens about where the federal government is going with their plans.
Right. Exactly. And there's still a bipartisan group of U.S. senators who are working on something. We don't know exactly what it is. However, yesterday from the podium, the new press secretary made it clear the president is considering some sort of executive order. We don't know exactly what they're talking about because you've heard what's been said so far. But to the point, Will, that you made earlier, that when you hear the president talking about 9mm and how devastating it is, a lot of people assume he's talking about
the rounds that come out of the assault weapons. Oh, we don't, how can you classify? There's no such thing as an assault weapon, isn't it? No. The AR-15, the rounds that the guy shot into the children, blew them apart. There was a surgeon on, a pediatric surgeon, I believe, on MSNBC the other day that I was watching. And she explained, in situations where a victim might bleed out, most standard bullets out of a rifle, for example, or even a handgun, you've got minutes. You want to get to them within 30 to 60 minutes to get the blood back in, You've got some time to get them to the hospital. With the assault rifles, it's seconds. They will bleed out in mere seconds because the bullets coming out of that thing just completely smash the person apart. It go completely through them, leave huge gaping holes. Or some of the bullets are designed to get into the body and ricochet around. It's why we need those bullets? I don't know. Why we need armor-piercing bullets? Why civilians need armor-piercing bullets? I don't know. Why is it so easy to buy body armor? I don't know.
9mm handgun. And that is where this question came.
Pump action shotgun. That's all you need for self-defense. I say home self-defense.
Up yesterday from our White
It's weird when you self-carry those around.
House guy.
Somebody had posted on Twitter yesterday a story. I want to say Oklahoma, but I don't know. Somewhere where I guess person A was open carrying some kind of rifle. Person B, this is at a convenience store. Person B robbed person A of the rifle at gunpoint. Person A went to his car, took out another gun, and shot person B. Person C pulled up out of nowhere and shot person A. Like, I don't know. That's where we are, America.
Canada.
If someone, oh good, Peter's gonna talk. If someone finds that story, DM me the story, and if we get to it before the end of the news here, we'll take a look at it. Let's see if anybody has sent anything to me. I forget. I think I might have even put it on my profile. Hold on. Let's see. Oh yeah, God, we have to watch this. This makes me laugh every time. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene here.
When you're eating, they want to know. You have to accept the fact that the government totally wants to provide surveillance on every part of your life.
Provide surveillance.
They want to know when you're eating. They want to know if you're eating a cheeseburger.
Why? Why do they want to know that? Why would they want to know that?
Which is very bad because Bill Gates wants you to eat his fake meat that grows in a Peachtree dish. So you'll probably get a little zap inside your body and that's saying, no, don't eat.
From the meat? From the fake meat? But this is the best part, though. We missed it. Hold on.
Bad because Bill Gates wants you to eat his fake meat that grows in a Peachtree dish. So
fake meat that grows in a peach tree dish. No, that's what she said.
Bad because Bill Gates wants you to eat his fake meat that grows in a Peachtree dish.
In a peach tree dish. This is the way a 5-year-old speaks. She's from Georgia. Georgia has nothing but peach trees. There are neighborhoods in Georgia that are so frustrating because it's Peachtree Lane that meets up with Peachtree Drive, that meets up with Peachtree Street, that meets up with Peachtree Boulevard. It's insanity. I think it was Lawrenceville I was in, where it was just one Peachtree Drive after another Peachtree. It was ridiculous. Anyway, so she heard Peachtree one time and just calls it Peachtree because nobody in her kindergarten class ever corrected her. I'm kidding. She never went to kindergarten. She never went to school, obviously.
Making it impossible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in that country. Would President Biden ever consider a similar restriction on handguns here?
So, we'll leave it up to other countries to set their policy on gun ownership. The president has made his position clear. The United States needs to act, as I just laid out. He supports a ban on sale of assault weapons and high-capacity magazines and
Yeah, we did that before.
Expanded background checks.
And it expired.
To keep guns out of the dangerous hands. He does not support a ban on the sale of all handguns, to answer your question.
Okay, so despite the reference to 9mm,
Right.
she's saying he does not support any type of policy when it comes to handguns. So is that a walkback? Yeah,
No. There are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of guns that don't shoot 9mm bullets. Lots of guns.
I don't know. We often see this.
I know. I can tell you. It's because of constricted demanders. Boa constricting demanders.
A confusing or,
Walkback or clarification or correction.
Just an answer to the question. It's not a clarification. It's not a correction. It's an answer.
Clarification.
No.
It was very unclear.
It is unclear, but there's a lot. If we could diagram what Joe had said earlier through the course of any day, the White House itself, the communications team, has, they've had their hands full. And in fact, yesterday, I got to hand it to NBC. They had the headline was "Inside a Biden White House Adrift," and what.
By the way, Marcy just sent me, as you can see in the chat room, Marcy just sent me the handgun or the gun laws in Hawaii. Hawaii, if you live in Hawaii, you're not allowed to own a cannon. What kind of crap is that? Second Amendment, people, it's under siege. Never doubt that your Second Amendment rights are under siege. When they take away your cannons, you can pry my cannon out of my cold, dead lanai.
Apparently.
You can't, there you go. Ammunition coated with Teflon or designed to explode and segment upon impact. Those are banned in Hawaii. You can probably bring it on your suitcase. I don't know that they actually inspect for that coming in. There's a 14-day waiting period to get a firearm in Hawaii. Well, that's good. Those cooling off periods actually work. The following persons are prohibited from owning a firearm. Anyone who is younger than 21 years old. Oh, age laws don't work, they say. Age laws, and yet all of the shooters recently waited until they were 18 when they could legally buy the firearms in Texas, Buffalo. Well, I'm talking about the shooter in Buffalo. Yeah. Anyone who's subject to a gun violence protection order can't have anyone under 25 who has been adjudicated by a family court to have committed a felony, 2 or more crimes of violence, or illegal sale of drugs. I say just one strike, you're done. No gun for you. Anyone, if you're not a citizen, you can't own a firearm in Hawaii. Oh, if you're a fugitive from justice as well, you can't have a firearm in Hawaii. If you're a fugitive. If you're on the lam, if someone dropped a dime on you, you can't legally purchase. So, do not go into a gun store and start filling out the paperwork if you're a fugitive from. Is the takeaway from that one? Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands also have very low incidence of car theft. There's nowhere to go with it. To be eligible for concealed carry license, It means you appear to be a person suitable to be licensed. It's a pretty good guideline. Not be adjudicated insane or appear to be mentally deranged, and be qualified to use a firearm. Hey, this is kind of cool. In terms of machine gun laws, Hawaii doesn't have a law regulating machine guns. Federal government does, so they don't need one. But
the president is really steamed that every time he says something that doesn't make sense, which is significant, they do a walkback. And he feels like they're making him look bad. And why are the Republicans not getting more blame? And why isn't he getting more credit? And why aren't there more Democrats on TV saying, I'm doing a really good job? The president has had it up to here with the staff and with the reaction.
Well, this is what the NBC News story said. It said, quote, the so-called cleanup campaign, he has told advisors, undermines him and smothers the authenticity that fueled his rise. Worse, it feeds a Republican talking point that he's not fully in command. So, Will, I mean, look, the statements are not clear, despite the press secretary coming out yesterday and a number of times, and advisors coming out on television saying the president has been clear. Nothing is clear. Right. The approval ratings from the Americans across the country, Joe Biden's approval is...
And we never had that under Trump. We never had anybody saying the president's tweet speaks for itself. Never happened.
At a record low compared to other presidents, including Donald Trump, and yet they continue to act like everything he's saying is...
Okay, let's go.
Why did you say that? He goes,
about Hillary.
I never said it.
Wow, like 10 minutes on palace intrigue here. What about the Sussman case? Oh, here's the real news. Hold on. They're doing a real news update here for a second, so let's check out this.
Real day weekend in 5 years, with at least 50 people shot and 9 dead. The violence happening even after Mayor Lori Lightfoot enacted a holiday safety plan, which had some officers working 21-hour days. All crime in the Windy City is up 35% from last year. Now to a Fox weather alert. At least 11 people have been confirmed dead after Hurricane Agatha.
Yeah, strongest hurricane ever to make landfall.
Unleashes devastating mudslides and winds of over 70 miles per hour in Mexico. Officials reporting massive power outages and damage to buildings. The storm was a Category 2 storm when it made landfall on Monday, breaking records as the strongest hurricane in May. Agatha was...
Okay, sorry, in May. Yeah, it's not hurricane season. What the hell's going on?
The first hurricane of the season. The Biden administration is now asking an appeals court to reverse a ruling that lifted the federal mask requirement for public transportation. The mandate was ruled unlawful by the court in April when a judge declared that the CDC overstepped its authority by issuing the mandate. The Justice Department said at the time they would appeal the ruling if they deemed it necessary. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's popularity.
Oh, shut up. Who cares?
The Queen's favorite dogs will take on a Eastern time. Steve, over to you.
Those corgis are cute.
Yeah, corgis, great. Somebody yelling about gas prices, more gas prices, more gas prices. Okay, headlines, weather. Okay, and we're moving ahead here. Gas prices, gas prices, gas prices. Okay, more gas prices. Oh, here we go. Here's Sussman. Here we go. The picture of Hillary smiling crookedly. Okay, how about now? We done with the gas prices?
Of yesterday now is that Michael Sussman, the former Clinton campaign attorney, who has been on trial for the past 2 weeks for lying to the FBI, misrepresenting whether or not he was there on behalf of the Clinton campaign when he presented himself as a do-gooder, a good Samaritan, suggested to the FBI, hey, you need to look into some of this stuff about President Trump or then candidate Trump and Russia. Well, a jury in Washington, D.C. found Michael Sussman not guilty
unanimously
of lying to the FBI. This in the face of, in my estimation, overwhelming evidence, including...
No. Hold on. Go ahead. Finish up.
A text message from Michael Sussman to the FBI saying, hey, I'm only here as a good Samaritan.
Right.
Testimony by the FBI's
Right.
lead counsel. No,
Right.
he never mentioned that he represented the Clinton campaign.
Right.
Charging the Clinton campaign for his time and a thumbnail drive.
No, he didn't charge him for his time. Charged him for the thumbnail drive. Okay? What the documents that he handed over to the FBI were on a thumbnail drive. This is the case. This is the Durham case. Okay? Mr. Sussman, did you go to the FBI? Yes, I did. Did the Clinton campaign, were they aware you were going to the FBI? Yes, they were. Did you charge them for going to the FBI? No. Were you representing them when you went to the FBI? No. Did you tell the FBI you were working for the Clinton campaign? Not that I recall. Wasn't important. This is about the information we have that Alpha Bank, a Russian bank, was communicating with the Trump servers. The Trump servers were communicating back to the Alpha Bank. This is what we were told. I'm not a computer expert, but I thought the FBI has computer experts. They should work into this. Aha! Will the witness take a look at this piece of paper? Okay. What is that? This is a bill? What is the bill for? It's, let's see. It's my firm, my billing department sent the Clinton campaign a bill. What is it for? Well, it's for a thumb drive. It's for office supplies. And what was one of those thumb drives? Did you give the FBI one of those thumb drives? Yeah, probably, I guess. One of the thumb drives that's worth, I don't know, $13? Just aside, this is now Kevin talking. I just bought a thumb drive, and it was, I don't know, $13, $17. Big thumb drive. You can get them for like 10. You get packs of 5. That's how the best deals. You buy like a pack of 5 for $25. So one of the pack of 5, I don't know if it was a pack or 5 or not on the bill or whatever, but that's the connection. That's the Durham connection. That Sussman charged the Hillary Clinton campaign for a thumb drive for office supplies. When you handed them the paper, did you pay for the paper yourself? Well, it's actually my firm's paper, but yeah, I mean, you go into the copy room and you make the and then you print it. Where do those staples come from? And so the jury found unanimously not guilty. They tried to get this guy for lying to the FBI, for misrepresenting for whom he never did. He never said he was working for the Hillary campaign when he went to the FBI. It was just, here's some information you might want to use, guys. As an American citizen, you're supposed to. For example, if you're running a political campaign and a Russian comes to you and says, hey, I want to have a meeting with you guys. It's about the Magnitsky Act. What is it? McGinty Act. And you guys remember that? No. It's about the McGinty Act and adoption, and also we've got dirt on Hillary. And if you say, if it's what you think, if it's what I think it is, I love it, especially later in the summer, you're supposed to tell the FBI about things like this. If the Russians are involved in American politics, you're supposed to share that with the FBI. Wait a second, Don Jr. You called the FBI. Who pays for that phone? Oh, well, the Trump Foundation. Aha! Idiots. But that was the case. That's the case. A thumb drive. Office supplies. No, it's the McGinty Act.
With data that he turned over to the FBI. Despite all of that, a jury said, not guilty.
What was it? I forget what we were watching one time. For those of you who weren't watching, the McGinty Act was, I think it was on Fox and Friends, when one of them kept calling it the McGinty Act.
Well, keep in mind, the jury in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is a town where 90%
of Americans, people serving on the jury, American citizens,
of those people who voted in 2016, voted for Hillary Clinton. There were 3 people on the jury who not only voted for Hillary Clinton, but they also contributed to her campaign.
Right.
And so for him to get that news...
Okay, so take those 3. So it was the 3 people refused to convict. No, everyone refused to convict because it was ridiculous.
News from them, not shocking, and he was thankful yesterday afterwards, but I think he knew this was coming. Watch.
Yeah, because it's flippin' ridiculous.
Watch.
Yeah, watching.
I told the truth to the FBI, and the jury clearly recognized that with their unanimous verdict today. Despite being falsely accused, I'm relieved that justice ultimately prevailed in my case. As you can imagine, this has been a difficult year for my family and me, but right now we are just grateful for the love and support of so many during this ordeal, and I'm looking forward to getting back to the work that I love.
Well, first of all, we never got...
Okay, that's the way American works. Justice has been served, tried by a jury of his peers, and unanimously found not guilty.
To the bottom of why...
But this was it. This was the Durham case that was going to prove that Hillary was crooked.
He had a badge to the FBI and was able just to get in to meet with a number of attorneys at the FBI.
Okay, that's fine.
Seems like that was a problem.
Not illegal, not a problem.
It's about what else he was doing inside that building. But in terms of how this moved...
Now Trump, by the way, Trump put out something on Truth Social about everything in the American justice and the justices, the judges and the justices. Everything's corrupt, and it was a disaster, and America needs to be saved, and it was just a ramblings of a madman. And then ended it with, other than that, have a good day.
Moves forward, the Durham probe, right? This is the first trial we've had, the first charges, and he didn't win on this.
Not, I guess, the first charges. There was one attorney, McAllister, who pled guilty already.
It's obvious.
That was on the, the Gilligan guy. What was his name? Carter Page. He omitted some words in the FISA court paperwork. He omitted 3 words, and it made Carter Page look like he wasn't working with the FBI. So anyway.
Obviously, there was enormous bias with the jury. There's also allegations that a number of the jury members were not just Clinton donors, but friends of the Sussmans, and their children play sports together at their school. So that is, I would say, far from blind justice. So,
okay, but all 12 of them?
So to speak, and I think...
All 12. All 12 of them play with the kids.
We'll have to see what this means for the rest of the Durham investigation.
Doesn't mean anything.
As they move forward.
It means that case failed unanimously because it was nonsense.
I agree. This has always been...
And here's the thing, is nobody, Merrick Garland on down, really wants to do anything about it. They're just going to let Durham do his thing, because if they do anything about it, oh my God, they're political puppet masters and Hillary Clinton. Stupid.
Been about a story and accountability bigger than Michael Sussman. There will be political pressure now. I would imagine there's going to be political pressure.
We'll have to see what this means for the rest of the Durham investigation as they move forward.
I agree. This has always been about a story and accountability bigger than Michael Sussman.
It is not. It's about the Trump campaign trying to deflect the blame onto somebody else. By the way, Trump still not convicted of anything. Still not even charged with anything. Can he be charged? Oh, hell yeah. Mueller said so. Remember that? I'll show you. Hold on. This is something I replied to somebody this morning. And here it is. This is the good times.
There's sufficient evidence.
Hold on. Is there sufficient evidence? Let's go back.
Was there sufficient evidence to convict President Trump or anyone else with obstruction of justice?
We did not make...
Couldn't make that determination. And a little bit later...
You made the decision on that. But when it came to obstruction, you threw a bunch of stuff up against the wall to see what would stick. And that is fundamentally unfair.
I would not agree to that characterization at all. What we did is provide to the Attorney General in the form of a confidential memorandum our understanding of the case. Those cases that were brought, those cases that were declined, and that one case where the president cannot be charged with a crime.
Okay, but could you charge the president with a crime after he left office?
Yes.
You believe that you could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office?
Yes.
Yeah. No hesitation whatsoever. From this Mueller guy that everyone's like, oh, he's gone nuts because he doesn't even know about the dossier. He's confused about the dossier. Why? Because the dossier was not used in the Mueller report at all. Not a single reference in the 400 pages of the Mueller report to the dossier, except for one tweet from Trump. Trump references, but the Mueller report doesn't reference it at all. It's just part of a tweet having to do with other things. Just nut time.
There will be political pressure now. I would imagine there's going to be political pressure.
There's no political pressure on Durham. It's a hands-off situation because of the political pressure.
To attempt to shut down special counsel John Durham and his investigation into whether or not the Clinton campaign was part of this.
We know they
were. Part of fabrication.
We know that the Clinton campaign.
Because one guy brought information to the FBI and charged Hillary for office supplies.
And was part of it, whether they broke the law.
And we need accountability on that conclusion, which I agree. We need accountability, and it only is really going to come in the form of something from John Durham, a report, a conviction. In the fall, there's another trial. There's scheduled to be another trial of Igor Danchenko, who helped create the false Steele dossier, which had the most salacious stuff in it as well. So there will be...
But not used, not released before the election, no effect whatsoever on anything, not part of the Mueller report, but oh my goodness, here's this document. These files, that's all the document, all the dossier means. It's just French for files.
Be another return to this, we're presuming, in a court of law.
Folders.
But there needs to be something more from John Durham.
Absolutely.
Does there need to be something more? I mean, in order for it to mean anything whatsoever, yes, there has to be something more. But does there need to be something more?
Another component that went into this particular verdict was the fact that the judge, who was appointed by Barack Obama, limited the prosecution in what they could present the jury.
That always happens. Always.
You can't talk about any of that Clinton stuff. You can't do this, you can't do that. They had a million rules on what they could and could not tell them. Instead, it was very narrow and it was very focused.
Someday I'll tell you guys a story about how a judge, how the prosecution objected to me presenting cell phone records that definitively that showed that all of this was nonsense. And the judge allowed the objection to stand so that I couldn't show the 9-minute phone call that proved my side of the case. It's ridiculous what happens in court sometimes. But yeah, the judges are always saying you can't show this to the jury, can't show that. You said
It's about, we're just talking about that one lie. Was it a lie? The jury said no. Matthew Whitaker had this observation. He used to be the acting attorney general for the U.S. of A. Watch that.
He's the guy who invented the toilet for guys with long dongs.
If you compare this to like General Flynn or Roger Stone's.
Oh, and then also defrauded veterans out of inventions.
Prosecution in the same courtroom, you see the judges made much more broader rulings, allowed much more evidence, and in this case, the Sussman case, the judge at every turn limited the government's ability to really present evidence that would show why this case mattered. And so the jury foreman's comment that I mentioned earlier also demonstrates sort of how they didn't see it fitting in to the broader narrative of the Russian collusion fable.
Well, and here is exactly the question: do we have two?
Are you going to tell us what that foreman's comment was?
Tiers of justice in this country? Is everybody really treated equally? Is Lady Justice blind?
Does it look like different?
No. If you have a great lawyer, you've got more advantages. I mean, what? Who believes we have an equal system of justice in this country? President Trump still has not been charged. Could not be charged. Mueller could not even make the determination. The president is over and above the American justice system. We know that. We just watched it.
Are there different standards for Republicans and Democrats in Washington, D.C., and what does that mean for the future of the country and the faith the American people have, not just in the justice system,
But it's not a thing, so it's not really in effect.
But in their institutions and in the electoral process?
In everything. The electoral process, that's what it all comes down to. We have to sow doubt in the electoral process no matter what. They're rigged. By the way, Trump, who no one is paying attention to anymore, Trump is now insisting that the Georgia primaries were rigged because his candidates didn't win, and therefore the Republican primaries were rigged in Georgia. That is what Trump is now claiming.
Ron Johnson tweeted, further proof there are separate systems of justice in America, one for liberal Democrats and their elite backers and one for everybody else.
Well, he didn't say coastal. See, I don't buy it if it doesn't say coastal elites.
Somebody else tweeted,
just the regular elites, I don't buy it. But coastal elites, yeah. As long as Soros is involved somehow.
The swamp protects their own.
They do.
But to your point.
Okay, so you're telling the people of the jury that they're part of the swamp and they were protecting their own. The judge, the federal judge, also protecting. The Department of Justice, though, not their own, but they're part of the swamp. But those prosecutors aren't, but the other prosecutors are. I can't keep up.
Here. Forget about the verdict. What was
Okay. But here's the thing. The verdict. Okay? But forget about that. The only thing that matters. Forget about that. But here's the thing, Steve. The verdict. But let's see. Okay, let's just forget about the facts for a moment. Go.
Revealed, and what a lot of people wanted to know is Hillary Clinton personally okayed, she personally signed off on
She didn't sign anything, but okay.
Sending this dirt out that was made up to a...
We don't know that it was made up. This was technical information, which, by the way, it is every American citizen's duty to report to the FBI. This is a foreign power potentially interfering with an election. Sussman did the right thing.
Reporter, and then what did she do? She immediately retweeted the made-up story.
Well, and the FBI opened an investigation as well.
Okay, that's not illegal at all. This is something the American people should know about.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, 7:13 now.
All right, but forget about the verdict. Let's ignore all the facts completely. Let's take it all out of context, and Hillary Clinton should be locked up. That's what we know. That's what we know. And I think that's the takeaway from today. And I think that's all the time we have as well. So, good to know. The kids in Texas are dead because of Hillary Clinton. I'm glad I could clear that all up for you. All right, kids, you guys have yourself a good day. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. And most importantly, talk to Stephanie about some Misfit movie night tonight. I think that's what's going on. So if you're not already in the Twitter chat room and you want to be part of the movie night, watch the Twitters and figure out who these people are and talk to them. Hi, Shelly. I don't think I said hi, Phil. And Andy. I saw Andy in here too a little while ago. Everybody else, let's do this. Let's just do a goodbye. Kimchi. Hi, Kimchi. Good to see you. Who else haven't I said hi to? Everybody else. ReStreamBot. Hi, ReStreamBot. Good to see you. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Most importantly, be good to me.